Bitcoin USD price up to 64,061 US pieces
Rocket.
of paper today. So we're going up a little bit after our major dip down to, I think we saw down to as low as 59,000, which broke the 200-week moving average of around 61,000.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the doldrums. It seems like, and a lot of the Bitcoin influencers are like saying, "Oh, the 4 year cycle is back." It's like everybody's like, "No, it's this time it's different." And then now everybody's like, "Oh, the cycle is back, and we should be happy that we're not seeing an 80% drawdown."
Ooh, not
It's
yet.
a mere 50% drawdown. So I don't know. I'm not a macro guy. Not a macro. Sorry, not a technicals analyst guy, and I don't I don't follow it. My best guess if is just that, and I'm hearing people say this various places. It's like with all the excitement with the SpaceX IPO hitting today as we speak. I just tried to pull up a chart, and there's no chart data yet. I'm not sure how these IPOs roll out on the first day, but typically there's a big burst of excitement
Yeah.
that goes with the IPO, and then there's a big sell-off that people that saw their initial entry, go up quite a bit, and then they want to like bail out quick and capture that like initial excitement. So we usually see these things have a big initial day spike, and then it kind of at some point it settles to kind of where the market thinks it should be. So they had priced it at 135, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, this is like kind of the backdrop of what's if you wanted to get in on these things, if you have option, you need money. You need like money to put into it. So we're going to get that money. Well, you're going to go to a liquid asset that you hold already. Um, for a lot of investors, that's probably Bitcoin. Those investors that are just like parking stuff in Bitcoin, here and there, might say, well, Bitcoin's been doing kind of lackluster, and I want to get in. I want to magnify my money, and so let me move it out of Bitcoin and into this SpaceX IPO. We also have kind of looming later. I'm not sure what the timing is, but Anthropic's got their IPO slated. OpenAI has their IPO slated, but that's later this year some point. So this is kind of where everybody's like holding their breath to see kind of where these things go. And it makes me a bit worried because so much of the market is concentrated in like the top 7 tech stocks, right? I
Yeah.
think you'll hear people saying that, if you take out those top 7 performing stocks, NVIDIA, Apple, and Anthropic, but well, not them yet. But anyway, it's like that the market actually is kind of sucky, that it really isn't doing that much, and so which begs the question, like, right, which if there's a downturn that affects that sector and that set of 7 stocks, it's going to like have an outsized like effect on the market.
Mm.
So that's what I'm hearing. I
Yeah.
don't really have much extra to add about it,
Bitcoin's
but
money. Use it. If you want to take your value out of Bitcoin and put it in some tech stocks, go for it. I think in a weird way, we are all incentivized to keep Bitcoin's price down. It's kind of counterintuitive. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but I'm just thinking about this. And I think we're all incentivized to keep Bitcoin's price down because it's cheaper. You could use the fiat currency to buy more Bitcoin. So the lower the Bitcoin price, the more Bitcoin you can get. And if you're already set in your status in the world, you already have a house, a car, lifestyle, cash flow, things like that, you are incentivized majorly to keep the Bitcoin price low. It's only those that want to sell the Bitcoin to upgrade their lifestyle. Maybe we want to buy a new house, a new car, a new lifestyle. We want to retire perhaps, things like that. We have expenses. that mindset wants Bitcoin's price to go up. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with that generally. I think my main desire to see Bitcoin go up is is more around validation. Like I want to see the world recognize Bitcoin as an unstoppable force and as a permanent component to how we value everything in the world, right? And it's you see this happening. You see this inkling, like we're hearing stories of central banks buying Bitcoin. It's like, wait a second, the people that are like in charge of creating, national currencies, why would they be buying Bitcoin? Right
Yep.
now, they buy gold, they buy other things. So to be fair, it's not like Bitcoin's the only thing. But when something that is like so fringe and kind of dangerous in the eyes of the central bankers is also something that they're secretly or maybe just quietly acquiring a little bit of, that tells me that they see this in a different way, right? That their ideas around this stuff are shifting. And we see this in statements from like the big bankers like Jamie Dimon's saying things like, well, maybe, you should have 5% in there or something like that. It's like, those might be casual offhand comments, but, people listen to those folks. Larry Fink kind of had a change of heart. He's like, well, I thought it was bullshit and now I don't, so blah, blah. It's like that in my mind is pretty, those are pretty good signals, but it's like, I want more, like, I guess you could say, I don't fear that it's going away, right? It's not like I can imagine a world where Bitcoin is unwound from all the places it's kind of like crept into. I just can't see that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, other than it just like, if it went to zero, then obviously it would get removed from consideration. But if it's got even any value, even if it was like half of what it is now, but still found its place in all these other instruments, then it's like, okay, well, it's like it's got permanence, right? And I guess the question starts becoming, and we're starting to hear this more. Did you hear like the Schwab person at Schwab was like, well, we can trade it now, but like the problem we have now is that none of our advisory analyst people understand it. So even though now that they're getting to a place where they can technically sell it to their Schwab, account holders, it's like they don't know what it is. They don't know what the value is. They can't explain it
Yeah.
to somebody that's just Joe on the street with the 401k. So how do you expect there to be a whole that whole kind of, we think, oh man, we've kind of had our head in this for a long time. We understand it, but yet you have to remember most of the population has, I mean, they've heard of it, right? But in their mind, it's just this thing over there that,
Right.
doesn't affect them, right?
And how are
And
they going
and
to
they,
spin it? How is Charles Schwab and all these people going to spin it? Because if they understand Bitcoin, they're going to question the current financial system. Everything's going to fall apart in their mind, and the power of Bitcoin self custody, their business model could suffer. So I wonder if there's some sort of spinning that they're going to do and try to sell it as I mean, what? Just another product inside the
well,
US dollar financial
you know,
system?
they might spin it as a hedge, right? It's like, oh, it's just a hedge. Like everything else stays the same. This is just a hedge, right? They kind of have that story around gold. Um,
Mm,
what's kind of interesting is that they put a name on it. This is the financial industry. It's like they call it the debasement trade, right?
mm.
And it's like just by kind of putting a name on it, such that when they talk amongst themselves, they kind of have this common sort of framework. That in itself is education, right? I mean, that's helping kind of like, what do you mean? What's the debasement trade? Oh, the debasement trade is anything where you feel that the one investment is like uncontrollable in terms of how much issuance there is, and that you fear that they're going to water it down further by making more, you can do this with companies. You can create more stock, as an example, and that dilutes the existing shareholders, right?
Mm.
So, and this can apply to other things like money, right? And like, national currencies, like, if you create twice as many euro, then everything's probably going to eventually cost twice as much in euros. So, yeah, I just think that's like another back door. But when we think about it, we think, oh, this is going to cause, people to question the system, and then they're going to
Yeah.
start asking questions, and they're going to be curious. We have to be careful. A lot of that's just kind of our own hopeful, like thinking that other people are going to really, really kind of like get interested, stay interested, and keep digging on their own to get to, oh, Bitcoin is perfect money. Like that's quite a bit of an evolution, and it takes time. I think it was the lady that's running Schwab or something said in an interview this week that she really has, and I believe, and if I'm getting the company wrong, she was saying that she had worked in emerging markets, like where in like Sub-Saharan Africa, right? Like where currency systems have failed, like the Zimbabwe, dollar, and like where people in their lifetime, people were really affected by huge like devaluations and stuff. And she said, well, based on my experience, people don't really care until there's a crisis event that really shocks people into forcing them to like, well, wait a second, all the money in my 401k and my savings account is like half. What do I do? Like, so that's something, and that's probably from a human nature standpoint, that's probably true. It's like, people like are just content to like go along with the world and the view of the world the way they want it, as long as they can kind of, operate within certain margins of like, oh, I'm making enough money to pay for groceries and my rent in my car and to like occasionally buy a ticket to a football game, then I'm fine, we have to remember that those of us that are kind of more interested in the philosophical and theoretical approaches to money and the monetary system and macroeconomics, that we're a pretty small group of folks thinking about this.
It's the golden handcuffs, right? Where you have a job that gives you just enough. Or there's another one too, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think those two things combine to make total sense in this situation. So we'll see.
And they talk about the rat race, right? It's like when the system is geared to like such that all your energy is spent just keeping up, you don't have a whole lot of leisurely free time to like sit around. I mean, most people come home at the end of the day, they're just happy to like flop down in front of the TV and like watch something mind numbing. It's like they don't want to like go read some Mises book about macroeconomics
or build their business,
right, or something like that. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, but it's a bit disappointing right now, but I try to like remind myself, it's like, this is when you build, right? Hey, it's cheaper to build now. If you need to like do transactions in order to, flesh out an idea or build some sort of product or service, kind of like with Spaces, then now's a great time to be doing it because it's costing you less to get things done.
Yep.
You're going to probably think differently. If everything was 2 or 3x the price, you'd be like, oh man, I'm not spending $10 to renew my Spaces name or whatever.